I'm joined now by Nick Daniels. He is the president of the National Air Traffic Controllers Association. Nick, it's great to have you here at the family table. Is there anything in what Secretary Sean Duffy, the Transportation Secretary, and the FAA have announced that you find political? Or do you find it all within what the system needs to be done right now to ensure safety?
I believe Secretary Duffy, Administrator Bedford are doing what they believe is best for the system. When you look at it from coast to coast and what we call NAS-wide, the National Airspace System-wide, anytime that you have an increase of risk, and we've been talking about it for 37 days, that every day that this drags on, risk is going to increase. You have an air traffic controller who's not 100% focused on the job at hand. They have to be 100%, 100% of the time. But now they're worried about putting gas in their car. They're worried about putting food on the table. They can't even pay for childcare in some instances. So as that risk increases, you have to begin reducing the capacity of the system.
Ecclesiastes 12. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened, and the doors shall be shut in the streets, when the sound of grinding is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. First and foremost, call Hala Yamla Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai Bahasham Kodash. Alright, that's the Paleo Hebrew true names to the Heavenly Father, whom this world ignorantly calls God. His name is Yahweh, which means he is, he exists. Bahasham, which means in the name of Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Shai means he saves, he delivers. And Rakah Kodash is the Spirit Holy. I want to give double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well, teaching this truth and sincerity on the highways and hedges, and they risk their life and freedom to do so. Shalom to the 1/3 part of Israel scattered to the four winds of the earth, and those Israelites who look like the other nations, but go back to the 12 patriarchs of Israel. So this is not a black thing. It's an Israelite thing, and we're looking at the situation currently as a piece of prophecy. All right, one of many. All right. So, as you heard, the air traffic controllers, they're concerned about, their livelihood, not being able to afford things, pay for things. So let's get back to it.
Healthcare in some instances. So as that risk increases, you have to begin reducing the capacity of the system and take down the number of flights in order to ensure the safety of it.
Your members are now living for 2 paycheck periods in a row with 0 in the column, if I understand it correctly.
Not only 2 paychecks, we only had a partial paycheck going into this. So for 37 days, they've received 0 income for the work that they've done. And a lot of times, that's 60 hours a week.
How is that manifesting? What are your members telling you?
It's manifesting in anger, wanting to, they don't know where to focus it. But it's also frustration, stress, fatigue, their mental well-being. And especially for an air traffic controller, they have a high standard to be able to show up ready for duty each and every day. It's not like you can just go and I'll tough it out today. They have to be ready to ensure the safety of the flying public. So every day.
So you just heard that the air traffic controllers, they're in a high stress position, and right now they're angry. So they are literally lamenting, they're literally mourning, the rulership of this place, man, because they couldn't get it together. And they are divided, on a political aspect, on a political level. This is what happens, man. This is wicked rulership that you're seeing, and people are being affected by it. All right. I gotta state this, but the true men of the Lord, the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, they've been bringing out this truth for, at least a couple decades. All right, so it's not like they haven't heard this truth. Proverbs 29:1 says, "He that being often reproved hardeneth his neck shall suddenly be destroyed, and that without remedy." Right. So what does it mean to harden your neck? That means to be stubborn, all right, be unmovable, okay? No matter what the wise counsel is that comes out, you're going to buck up against it. You're going to go against what is true, out of pride and arrogance. And in this case, for filthy lucre's sake, The golden city is not going to cease. We're going to be all right. We keep going, business as usual. Well, if you harden your neck, you know, things are not going to go as you plan. It says in verse 2, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. And so that's what's happening, not only with the flight controllers and potential flight controllers, because it takes them 3 years to train an air traffic controller. You know, and now those people aren't able to get their training. All right, so yeah, they're lamenting, they're mourning. All right, when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. Skipping down to verse 8, it says, scornful men bring a city into a snare, but wise men turn away wrath. Right? These people are pissed off, man. Right? So, but the scornful men, the one that's in control, you know, they're bringing the city into a snare, man. Everybody's backs is against the wall. So to say. All right. But it says here in verse 9, if a wise man contendeth with a foolish man, whether he rage or laugh, there is no rest. All right, so even in wisdom, man, you gotta remember humility, right? And you gotta remember that you're dealing with the wicked, and they're not gonna hear you, man. So you can bring this truth out, and they can even hear. But if you contend with them, they're not gonna hear you. Like I say, man. Let's get that. I got a precept to go with that. Matthew 7:6 says, and this is Yahweh Shai, red letter. Give not that which is holy unto the dogs. All right. Neither cast ye your pearls before swine. All right. Lest they trample them under their feet and turn again and rend you. All right. So in this case, wisdom and knowledge is knowledge of what is holy, what is separate, what is consecrated, right? By Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai. All right. So in a lot of these cases, man, instead of contending with these people, man, they're not going to hear it anyway, because what does darkness have to do with light, man? All right. It says, neither cast ye your pearls before swine. Or pearls is what? A treasure, right? And if our treasure is in heaven, where neither moth nor dust can corrupt, our conversation is in heaven, so that's a holy thing. So you don't want to cast it before somebody as profane as the Edomites, because it says in the scriptures that Esau is profane. All right, they're wicked. All right, it says lest they trample them under their feet and turn again and rend you. Right. So they're gonna step on anything that is holy, that is of sound counsel. Okay, something that's sound is something that's in great shape, excellent shape. It's on point. It's solid. And what is solid is the foundation, which is Yahweh Shai. All right, so that's the cornerstone, the chief cornerstone that the builders rejected. And so these builders are these scornful men, the wicked. All right, and they don't want nothing to do with sound and wise doctrine or counsel, which is holy, right? And once again, Esau is as the swine, the wicked, the profane. All right. So, being that that's the case, Jake or Jacob, yeah, that's Israel, man, the patriarch of Israel, the 12 tribes, man, and the descendants. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and you Israelites who look like the other nations, but go back to the 12 patriarchs once again. All right. This is Malachi 1, verse 2. It says, I have loved you, saith Yahweh. Yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother? Saith the Lord, yet I love Jacob, and I word Esau, and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Whereas Edom saith, We are impoverished, right? So right now, what are they saying? They're saying that they're, oh, we're poor. We don't, we can't make it. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. All right. So this is a cycle. This is like a repeat. Esau say, I will build, and Yahweh say, I will throw down. All right. So what does Esau plan on rolling out? If you can look at the scenario, and then you can see what's going on in the tech space, the technocracy space. You see that because they'll in this video, they started complaining about the length of time it takes to train those air traffic controllers. They said 3 years. They're high stress. They're high stress. They can't do it, and they're worried about the money. Esau don't want to pay you in the first place. Your own people don't even want to pay you. We brothers have done videos on this already. You dealing with a miserly rulership, man. These people are stingy as hell. What scripture say? For the love of money is the root of all evil. Greed, man. This man, his desire is as hell, man. And they're going to try to rebuild the desolate air traffic control towers with implementing technology, man. What do you think they're coming up with all this AI and shit for? The infrastructure for these things. They planning on replacing even their own people. A brother mentioned in the live the other day, beloved Akia, he mentioned the movie Wall-E. If you go watch that it's a children's movie, I think made by Disney or Pixar. I think maybe Pixar. Pixar, Disney, they're the same right now, right? But Wall-E showed a dystopian future, whereas Americans, couldn't even live on the planet anymore because it was destroyed environmentally. I guess global warming had taken hold, and maybe nuclear wars, and the planet became toxic, and so all these people had to live on a spaceship, right, floating around in space somewhere, and everybody was fat and lazy. Let me say that again. Everybody was fat and lazy. On the few people that made it, they were on they were so fat and lazy they had to get transported around in these little wheelchairs, and they were drinking these protein drinks and shit, but still was fat and lazy. They couldn't get no exercise, right? So when Esau, he gonna try to rebuild these towers, and this is just my humble prediction, but just based on what I see going on and through the spirit, I see them replacing those air traffic control workers alongside many other industries. Those workers, they're going to replace them with automation and artificial intelligence, man. All right. It says, let me continue on with the scriptures in verse 4. All right. But we will return and build the desolate places, says Esau. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, right? And the people against whom Yahweh hath indignation forever, right? So the Heavenly Father, he definitely has indignation against Esau. You see it right here in the scriptures, right? Verse 3. Let me get another one. This is Romans 9. I'll begin at verse 11 for a little bit of context. For the children, which was the twin brothers, Jacob and Esau, for the children being not yet born, neither having done any good or evil, that the purpose of Yahweh according to election might stand, not of works, but of him that calleth. Remember, many are called, but few are chosen, and those few are of the election. The elect are the 144,000 inside of the 1/3 part of Israel only. The family is nearest unto Yahweh, the creator of heaven, earth, and galaxies, and everything you can see and everything that you can't see, because he is the father of spirits. His throne is in heaven, and earth is his footstool. So he make a decision. It says that the purpose of Yahweh according to election might stand, not of works, but of him that calleth. It was said unto her, the elder shall serve the younger, and her is Rebekah, right? The mom or the mother of Jacob and Esau, okay? And Jacob and Esau's dad his name is Isaac, and Isaac was the son of Abraham, to whom the seed of promise was promised to. The land of Israel was promised to. Okay? So that is the blessed family, of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Jacob. Verse 13 says, as it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I H word. And what shall we say then? Is there unrighteousness with power? Power forbid. For he saith to Moses. So this is going back. This is going back to the earliest books in the Old Testament. It says, "For he saith to Moses, I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy, and will have compassion on whom I will have compassion." All right, so we'll get back to the video.
So every day that this drags on, it's introducing new problems, because these are real people with real lives, and every American can empathize with. If you don't pay anybody, there's going to be issues ahead.
What does this mean for those who are currently working for you, who are in the pipeline in your training procedure? Are people bugging out or just saying, I'm done?
We've seen not only the ones that are already in the system. Today, one of the air traffic controllers was evicted out of their apartment. Air traffic controllers in their facility are rallying around them, which they're not getting paid as well, to help put that rent on their credit cards and make sure that that trainee has a place to live and stay tonight. But the ones that also at Oklahoma City that are trying to become air traffic controllers just to get in the pipeline, they're resigning and quitting as well. So it's happening on all fronts. It's only hurting us and exacerbating the issues that are out there.
Cancel Turkey Day, man, and get ready to cancel Christmas if this continues at this rate. At least for this year. But we know, that more troubles and more perils are coming upon this place, man. All right, so getting into those perilous times, man, that we're entering into, I should say. 2 Timothy 3:1 is where I begin. This know also, that in the last days perilous times shall come, for men shall be lovers of their own selves. Right? So you see the debauchery in this place. This place is called spiritual Egypt and spiritual Sodom, alongside Babylon the Great, the harlot, mystery Babylon. All right? And all of those attributes of that place, because America itself means bitter. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, meaning they want things that don't belong to them. The land grab, the colonization. What do you think that is? Okay, boasters. You see your elected officials boasting. It says proud, right? They should also be blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy. Right? One of the highest forms of being unthankful is being covetous, right? And you're not even paying your workers. You're unthankful for their service. Unholy, right? We went over that earlier. All right. Without natural affection, these people are sociopaths, man. Truce breakers. They've broken every truce under the sun. There's no peace. They screaming peace, peace, but sudden destruction. That's exactly what we see, man. It says false accusers, right? How you gonna falsely accuse the men of the Lord for being seditious? We're not contending with anything. We're just reading the scriptures. We're the poorest class on the planet, and maybe a very small number as far as the United States is concerned, though we'd be scattered to the four winds of the earth. And then you're not even counting those people who look like you but are in truth Israelites. So these are false. They make false accusations against us. Including 2/3 of our people. Them black Hebrew Israelites. Shut your ass up. We not pushing no black Hebrew. We pushing Israelite. And we push these scriptures, man, in truth and sincerity. As we always say in the intro, risking our lives and freedom to do so. Yahweh Shai, he perished or was unalived at the hands of the Romans, okay? The Edomites, okay? Know your history. Know your history. All right. It says that they shall be incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good. All right. So, like I say, we see it not only among the Edomite, the heathen nations, also among the 2/3 of our people. They despise what is good. They, it says you're going to see traitors, right? A lot of people think, that the current administration has sold this country up the river, man. They secretly dealing with the other nations under the table to bring this place down, to usher in a new system that they're working together to bring into the fold, man, to the forefront, I should say. All right, traitors, you know, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of power. And when I say power, of course I mean the Most High, and of course, I mean the Alahayim. Of course, I mean Yahweh Shai included, and the election. Okay, these people are lovers of pleasures more than lovers of the truth, essentially. Okay, they want their creature comforts, their yachts, their vacations, and they'll do anything to get it. Even go as far as manipulating the markets to keep people in a destitute state, in a groveling state, to push the one world agenda, to push everybody into a digital ID, digital money system with programmable money that they can stop you from spending if they deem you a dissident, all right, or a political rival. The beta test is taking place in China. Go look, all right. It says in verse 5, they shall have a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. All right, so the power is the spirit of it, the actual use case of it. So these people are outwardly, pious. Oh, we believe we're good Christians, but look at what they do, not what they say. All right, and that's them expressing the denial of the power of godliness, because godliness is inwardly first. That's meekness, that's humility, that's real charity, that's caring for people and not blaming others, not saying, okay, well, I could fund SNAP, but I'm not gonna do it because the Democrats refuse to open the government. That's some petty ass. Let me go ahead and digress real quick. It says, from such of these people turn away. All right, because Babylon the Great is in America is it means bitter. Its ways, its ideology is sickening, man. It tries to justify its evil, under the guise of bringing peace, man. Look at the ICE agents, the secret police. They're harassing people, and now people ain't in. And now, you don't have your migrant workers. Before it was the so-called Negro doing the migrant work. My mom was one of those children that was going up in one of them buses, to do the migrant work. So this place has always had slaves. They just decide to pay you a little something, but then you get paid. You got your taxes everywhere. Everywhere you turn, it's a tax or a fee. Even if you hold your money in the institution, they wanna charge you for having an account. So you're not really making no money. So what is that? That's called indentured servitude, aka slavery. You never really was out of bondage, and the yoke is still in your neck. It's just invisible. It says in the scriptures that oppression maketh a wise man mad, because that wise man has wisdom now, because he first attained the knowledge, and he fears Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai, and that's how he began to see what's going on. That's how his eyes were open. That's how the dead become alive in the spirit. You got a conscience. You know wrongdoing, because the law is being reignited in your inward parts, in your mind and in your heart. And you see shit that's wrong. You work, they call it a work plant because they call it a work plant because that word plant comes from the word plantation. Does it make sense to you? This is only for the eyes that can see and the ears that can hear. Kol halayim la Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. All right? I'll give all praises to the Heavenly Father, man, in the name of His only begotten Son, who this system managed to change the names and faces of, too. Okay? It says, verse 5 again, having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. From such turn away. Come out of this place. Mentally and spiritually. Come out of this place. All right, so I just said come out of her, right? Verse 4 says, and I heard a voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, her wrongdoings, her profaneness, and that ye receive not of her plagues. This place is going to receive plagues, man. Let me go up to verse 3, and I'm going to read the whole thing again. Revelation chapter 18, verse 3. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. Because this place is going to be destroyed, man. They could set up AI, but right when they get to enjoy the fruits of their false miracles and lying wonders, they shall be destroyed. You got to remember that Esau is the sword. He is the sword. It says in Psalm 17 and 13, arise, O Lord, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword, from men which are thy hand, O Lord, from men of the world, right? It just said in Revelation, come out of her, come, be separate from the world, be ye separate, okay? From men which are thy hand, O Lord, from men of the world, which have their portion in this life, right? Esau, he got the portion in this life. His blessing was what? The fat of the land, the dew of heaven, and the sword. He said, the Most High spoke to Isaac and said, you shall live by your sword. And what does Scripture say? He who lives by the sword shall die by the sword. All right, so that's Esau's portion. So if you partake in with Esau, you support his system, and the system that he's about to roll out, which is the MOTB, Revelation 13, 15, 16, if you partake in that, you accept that mark of the beast in your right hand, on your forehead, that implantable micro C hip. Guess what? You're gonna get your portion right along with Esau's portion, right? Which is destruction. It says, and whose belly thou fillest with thy hid treasure. So part of that hid treasure is like, some of these tombs of pharaohs and hidden ancient treasures, man. Like gold and diamonds and all that. All right, so these Edomites, their bellies are being filled with hidden treasure, man. All right, it says they are full of children. They have a lot of children. It says, and leave the rest of their substance to their babes. So they set up an inheritance for their children. And Jacob, is poor on this earth, man. Because even if he did know how to operate and trust and all of these things, Esau figured out a way to snatch it from you, man, because that's his portion. Remember, he's like the serpent. He's the most subtle beast of the field, man. He's very crafty and cunning, and not in a good way. So he manages to squeeze those things from you, man. Take those things from you through his paperwork. His miracles and lying wonders, man. Stand on this earth right now. because this is his portion. Right? He got the consolation prize. He's not going to get the kingdom. The kingdom of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, the kingdom for Israel is coming right after this man's kingdom falls, which is in short order, according to these scriptures. And, the devil, he knows his time is short, so he's got to try to corrupt as many people as he can, It says in verse 15, as for me, I will behold thy face in righteousness. All right? I shall be satisfied when I awake with thy likeness. All right? So, yeah, that's the goal. That's the goal for the true men of the Lord, 1/3 part of Israel, that seek Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai. We seek to awake with his likeness, man, have those incorruptible bodies, to be raised immortal, to be raised, incorruptible, man. All right? All right, so with that being said, I'm going to end it there. And, salutations to the hopefully elect. To the next one, Shalom.